What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here. There is a new rank 1 in town in China, and it's Flancyyy. We did some VOD reviews of Flancyyy a little bit earlier in the set when he was rank 1, and he's hit it again, so I just want to check him out. He's also over 1800 LP, which is just, my god, the ability to play so much and be so consistent, because there are lots of people who play as much as Flancyyy and are hard stuck in Platinum, so you know, it's not just that he's a grinder, it's also that he's just really good at the game. So I'm going to take a look at some of his games. We are a bit late into the patch, honestly. A lot of people are saying that, you know, like, oh, you know, we know the comps that exist right now. So I want to see what Flancyyy actually does that sets him apart from everyone else. So interesting there, he ended up selling Malphite, right? And bought out the entire shop. Here's actually a situation I would probably end up pulling, but I think he has Prio and holding the Galio, potentially even over Malphite here, and then you also get holding Poppy and Lux. But yeah, okay. He checks admin here. Let's do a quick translation of the admin. I'm gonna have to pull it up again really quick, but you guys shouldn't complain, because what, are you gonna translate these admins? Come on. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Let's translate that admin real quick and see what he ends up grabbing. All right. Every 5 seconds, your team gets 12 mana, I imagine, at 40%. AI champs get 75 AD. Garbage, at the beginning of the battle, they get 50 max HP. The only problem is this is just for your admins. So this makes perfect sense. Every 5 seconds, your team gets 12 mana. It's a team-wide buff. It's obviously not the best for Jax, because Jax doesn't have mana, but, you know, it's fine for Soraka. Yeah, but I don't think you can really pick either of the other. I really feel like the selfish admin ones are really not the best. All they really do is end up buffing up Soraka a little bit if you end up playing this Jax comp. So from his spot, right, his items look like Sunfire Cape, definitely, and then we'll figure out what to do with this tier. But, you know, like, I don't really... Oh... He couldn't actually pick up the Lee Sin there. He got the bug where at the end of the round, if you sell stuff too quickly, you get wrecked. I feel like this Gadgeteen augment doesn't really do that much. I feel like I've looked at augment stats here. Let's look it up real quick. Gadgeteen Soul, yeah, it's got one of the worst average placements in the game. Windfall here is actually not bad, I believe, when taken first. Let's look it up. Windfall plus... No, it's just regular Windfall. It has a not great average placement. And this last one, I'm forgetting the name of it, but I believe it's like medium strong, if I remember correctly. So I would think either this one or Windfall. Windfall, if he wants to play a super hard econ opener, it is plausible because he doesn't really have any. He doesn't have a strong opener at this spot, right? He has no 2-star units, right? He doesn't really have a strong backline. If you go back and like look at his spot here, ends up holding like not like his backline's gonna end up being this, and like hopefully he can end up high rolling underground to play it, but he could also just use the Sona as DPS, right? He has the Sona on his board, so you can use Sona as like a very, very strong early unit, especially with this tier, play like an AP angle here. I think that makes the most sense. In that case, Portable, or whatever this thing is, Living Forge, I think it might be called. Yeah, Living Forge. It also doesn't have the greatest average placement, so you could even potentially see him rerolling these. I think if I were in this spot, I can see taking just Windfall here and econing up, though it's going to be difficult in the Prismatic lobby. Or I could see just rerolling here. Yeah, I'm very down to see what he takes here, because I think this is actually a pretty tough choice. No auto picks. You could, like, if you're looking for something really good reroll, I'd be shocked if you took +1 Gadgeteen. Oh my god, he goes for it. Yeah, this augment has a very, very low average placement. Okay, and you know, you can't like see the whole text of it because it's obviously in Chinese. But it gives you an Ionic Spark. Seems actually quite strong. Knowing that it gives you Ionic Spark actually is quite good, right? He doesn't have any Spark components, has no form of MR reduction. Ionic Spark is so important in AP comps. You can just slam Ionic Spark, slam Sunfire. You have 2 perfect items for Annie. It also gives you the Annie, which is just kind of like a broken unit on this patch if you're playing AP. So I actually end up liking this a lot. Maybe I've underrated this augment. Ends up playing the Camille for what? Just to be a unit? Because, I mean, I guess you could play double Lulu, but you're mainly looking for just some kind of frontline here. And he ends up slamming the Sunfire, right? So he gets to hold on to the tier, and then he's just going to play some kind of AP game, probably. What's nice is that you can easily keep Gadgeteen, and you want to play Annie the entire game. You can easily fit in either a Lulu onto your board if you're playing around Hearts, or a Zoe onto your board if you're... I mean, you can always fit Zoe onto the board if you're playing AP because you're playing Echo. It's really just a question of like what you end up cutting for the Zoe, of course. So yeah, you end up putting Ionic on the Nyla here, who ends up being the In instead, just as another frontline unit, which makes perfect sense. Just like really maximizing the strength of this board, especially in a situation where it's really not that strong of a board. His item slam is nice. And having Sona early is nice, but you know, it's not like he has a bunch of 2-star units that he can use to win streak. Like, he's definitely just mitigating his losses at this point. He even goes for the Ox Force here, and then the, what happened there? It looked like he, oh, okay. He took a unit out. For a second, I thought he, like, leveled up. I was like, what the hell is he doing? Okay, so he goes for Ox Force here. I think this makes perfect sense with the Annie in. Just prioritizing Ox Force because it gives you frontline, right? It's frontline in that Talon is going to proc Ox Force, and like the big thing is that it's going to proc it on Annie, which could mean she could potentially get another shield off. So, makes a lot of sense. He does go for the pre-level here because you can do it for free in this situation. Fill a Blitzcrank if you have to, but he's going to end up winning out here. So this is a nice way to just play the early game. He hasn't played it very, very aggressively, but he slammed good items. Now he can look for either potentially a blue buff or a Shojin off Carousel. Blue buff, obviously, very good Sona item. Looking around, he doesn't look super, super contested. He's going to go for the Shojin here. Yeah, you have to finish your tier item here. And you're also 2 frontline items completed onto Annie already. You know what'd be insane here? If he hits Annie, he could pop off the sword by making Annie 2 and then putting the Bloodthirster on Annie. So you like put the BT on Annie, then make Annie 2, and it'll pop off the sword. Can't do that here because he doesn't have an Annie 2, but that's something you could do. I wonder actually if he's going to think about not slamming. Yeah, I think this is really sick, actually. You don't actually sell this and make Shojin here. One, because you don't necessarily know if you want to Shojin your Sona, and 2, because the second you hit Annie 2, you can pop off this sword, and then you don't have to sell your Annie pair. Like, this allows him to hold Annie pair. I think this is really, really smart. So you can use, that's one thing you can do with Gadgeteen is use it to pop off item components. And then the other thing is that he really wants to hold on to the Annie pair. So I love that play. I think that's very, very cute. A really nice way to use it. All right, hits on Alistar here, which is just, I mean, a great unit in this comp. Ends up playing just double Sona Alistar here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, why not? You have 2 Sonas. He's also win streaking. And it just get the Lulu hooked. Beautiful. But yeah, still holding on to this Annie pair. I love this. He could even roll at 3-2 here. I'm curious how much, if at all, he ends up rolling at 3-2. I guess it depends on what he naturals on 2-7 and 3-1. But like, this is obviously a situation where you have 2 insane pairs you could roll. And I'm curious, I've been playing a lot of AP recently, so I'm really curious on how much he ends up actually rolling it down. If you get an Annie dropped here, does it put the sword, like, imagine if you get an Annie out of that orb, because they're going to combine at the start of the round. You get fucked here, and the sword ends up staying on, I guess apologies for swearing, but we're a little bit into the video, so YouTube's not going to demonetize me. Can't really use this giant spell yet, but it can end up being like a Warmugs or something. The sword's a little bit awkward, but now you have the Shojin. It's just then this other sword you have to figure out, but it can easily be Giant Slayer. That's probably the best option here is Shojin GS. Obviously you don't have the bow yet, but eventually that sword will be GS. Okay. Another important thing here is tailoring your board so you can get good hero augments. The only thing is that if I pull up the augment flow chart, which is really good info to have, we started this game with a prismatic augment. It's actually, if you start with prismatic, it's not very likely to hit hero as your second augment. It's much more likely to hit gold or another prismatic. I mean, 20% is still significant, so you can tailor as much as you want here. But it's something to keep in mind. Now, if it hits gold or prismatic, so in either case, if it hits gold, you're 100% to hit hero augment as your third, and if it hits prismatic, then it's 83% chance. So it's very likely that we will see a hero augment this game. It's just not as likely that we'll see it here. Oh, it is, 20% is still, happens quite often. It's gonna end up slamming the giant spell here. Okay. Wait, what? If he slams giant spell, that means he can't pop off the sword. Oh, that's weird to me. Because now he can't do the... Oh, I mean, Ludens is so good in this comp. Ionic tends to be really good with these item slam. The problem with AP comps is they don't have a lot of frontline. They lack it a lot. So I would imagine it's Ludens here. Yeah, Portal. Oh my god. Straka. Okay, and let's see how much he rolls here. He rolls for Annie too, but he's... Oh. You put it... Wait, how does this work? Because you have one component on this one and one component on this one. So what you want to do is put... Oh. This is like really, really in-depth itemization stuff that like is very helpful to know, like how units combine. So what happens here, if you put... God damn it. I always click into my OBS and accidentally undo the recording. Okay, so what happens here, if you put this Annie on board, because if you... I think it might be either way, it's just that you have to get 3 item components on them both. they will combine with the 3 components and both components pop off. That's really, really good info to know, because I mean, I did not know it was going to work like that, but that's another way that you can use it to pop. But that's like a really small thing that, like, you know, a top player like can easily, you know, has that knowledge and can use it to his advantage. So that's beautiful. He even keeps rolling. Wow. Okay. Because I think his board here is fine. It's not insane. He hits the Lee Sin here, so he can get 4 hard in. He has the Soraka already, which is nice. His admin again was, I'm trying to remember what it was now. Man. It was mana for your entire team over time, right? Every 5 seconds you get like 12 mana or something like that. Like 12 mana. In any case, you can put in 4 heart here. Seems like the strongest board. Hold on to the Lee Sin pair and the Sona pair, and we're just gonna roll more at 7 this game to try to hit Sona 2. I mean, best case we high roll Soraka 2. But that was a really, really beautiful showcase of how you can use Gadgeteen to pop items off, because I did not realize that you could use it in that way. Even if they both have a component, all you have to do is get 3 components across the 2 units, and it'll combine just to be full items. So really, really nice, because the second I saw him slam that Giant Spell, I thought, oh shit, like this is gonna mess up his ability to pop it off. But also just the knowledge, the understanding to say I need to hold on to this Annie pair. It's so beautiful, man. Like, God, every time I watch someone who's rank 1 China, I feel like I learn Infinite, but it's, you know, makes enough sense. I would go for GS here. Really, really good item on Soraka. And also this Giant Spell is like a little flexible, whereas I feel like the sword is very inflexible here. We can't get GS though. I guess you'd go for Warmogs then. He's looking at potentially something else. Yeah, okay, goes for Warmogs. It's gotta be, right? All the other item stems don't really make any sense to me. Okay, so we go for Warmogs here. I love it. I mean, yeah, I said. But yeah, all right, this is all good. But yeah, GS is really, really nice on Soraka. He ends up getting the admin here over Ally. I mean, it also gives you Bruiser, which is kind of big. Scaling mana is nice. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so admin, just getting a Brawler in is also pretty important. I said Bruiser, you know what I mean. But yeah, Giant Sword's a really good item on Soraka just because of the fact that she is a front-to-back carry. She has to kill the enemy front line before she gets to the enemy back line. So ideally there, I believe he would have gone for Giant Slayer, but ends up just going this route, which is obviously fine because he couldn't get the bow. He hasn't natural the bow yet this game, so it's relatively reasonable that he'll hit it. Okay, so here's actually something interesting. Like, I don't know if you're gonna play Zoe this game, because you can get 5 Gadgeteen in late game with Nunu, but you always want to be playing Alistar. You don't end up having to play, like, you don't have to play around Yuumi if you're gonna play Soraka, so maybe that's okay. Ends up getting a useless unit hooked, which is really good. You always gotta be watching for those hooks because this can literally just tax your HP super hard. So he ends the stage 64 HP with an Annie 2 with like perfect in slot items, basically a Soraka. Like, this is a really good early game for him. AP tends to not be the strongest stage 3. It often spikes on stage 4 by rolling down a lot at 7, hitting like Sona 2 and LeBlanc 2, and that can really, really spike your board. You know, he can get LeBlanc in over this Blitzcrank, a lot of gold there. He ends up being able to pre-level here, and yeah, I would expect him to roll a good bit here. Can end up playing around the Zoe, but it is a little bit awkward, just because you don't need to. Okay, he is going to, yeah, you have to get Alistar in, ends up getting Echo, and so this is his final board transformation. He's going to play the 4 parts with these 4 units. He's not going to play the Zoe 2. This is what I was wondering about. Like, how do you actually fit Zoe 2 in this board? Just play Echo for some frontline. Maybe could be Star Guardian later. Let's also take a look at his items. He got drop Rod Giant Spell. Kind of unfortunate. Nothing really great here. You could slam Gunblade, I guess. It's just your Soraka is going to be so low damage. You have Ionic, but yeah, I'm curious if he slams anything here, because I don't think there's a very obvious slam here. And I think if you don't greed for Giant Slayer, you might have trouble killing a lot of these boards late game. But yeah, looks like he's not going to slam anything, which I think makes a lot of sense. Okay. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna go check what fell over there. Okay, we're back. Let's get into it. Okay, so I think this is a relatively stable stage. Oh my god. Okay, this is the Soraka support augment. This is Soraka pair. It's Alistar augment. I think all the Alistar hero augments are kind of trash compared to like value you get out of Soraka augment. It's basically got to be this, right? This is aim assist. Yeah, there's no shot because this is 3. Yeah, so it's got to be the Soraka one. Yep. And, oh, he's actually going to roll it down here. I actually like this a good bit, just to look for Soraka too. How hard is it? Okay, he ends up hitting Soraka too, and not that many rolls. Now his board is so spiked. And also notice he did end up selling that Zoe too. Yeah, I was pretty curious about it. I think you just never end up making it. Or you're just not going to use it. Okay, so I like the really aggressive rolling. It's very like Chinese style where like, okay, I have Soraka pair here. I also have Alistar pair, also have Sona pair. Is he going to slam Gunblade? If it makes a difference in the fight, he does slam Gunblade. It's a fine Soraka item. I wonder if he'll go like Guardbreaker last. There are Jax players in this lobby. Guardbreaker could help with that. Because you really need a final damage item on Soraka. And he's got, oh, he's actually a little bit, like he has a few item components left. He's only natural 9 item components. So he's going to get 1 off Carousel and then 2 off Dragon. So it's conceivable that he could get like a sword or a bow here and then end up getting Giant Slayer. He still hasn't seen a bow yet this game, right? So it's pretty reasonable, I would think, to take a sword here and look for Giant Slayer. You could also go for a rod here and look for JG. You just have to be cognizant of what item components you've already hit because you're less likely to get those. But he hasn't seen a bow yet and he hasn't seen a glove yet. Yeah, it's not like you're a forger or anything. He is though 56 HP, so it's kind of like, is he gonna be able to get what he wants? Like I said, he's already got the glove. He could take the sword. He's gonna go Giant's Ball. Okay, so he's not that concerned with a final damage item for this unit. I mean, obviously Warmog's Alistar is good. He could also just play this. Okay, yeah, I don't. Now that's best in slot. If he could hit that every game, he'd be chilling. All right, so the Giant Spot's a little bit worse on Echo right now. Obviously, like later once he hits Echo 2, it'll be stronger. I'm curious how aggressively he rolls for Echo 2. I mean, it's fine on Echo right now. It's not bad. I imagine it's better on Alistar 2, but I wonder if he ever thinks it's... I think he's just, you know, like future-proofing it. He doesn't want to have to move it off Alistar eventually, which makes sense. Also, his board's very strong, so it's not like, you know, if he was like 10 HP, then I think it's more reasonable to just like end up putting it on Alistar just to save HP. But yeah, what a good spot to be in. What's he going to add to this board? You could throw in Talia. Just for the Star Guardians. It's alright. What are the other obvious additions here? Like, you don't want to add Zoe. You can add LeBlanc. You already have the 2 Spellslingers in. Like, you won't get 4 in ever. Let's see. We're at 4 hearts, right? With a Sona Soraka, the Lulu, and who's the last one on our board? Sona Soraka, Lulu. What's the unit in the bottom left corner? Me? Yeah, okay. What do you add here? I mean, you can add anything, you know? You could throw in a random Fiddlesticks like I was talking about there. Imagine he'll go 8 after this Karis, or just after this. Like, best case here, you hit like 1 damage item and then you can make another damage item, but he can't. I mean, he could go Edge of Night, but yeah, I think you just... Protector's Vow makes sense. I mean, everything else doesn't really make sense. Okay, and so yeah, he just throws in a super random Mordekaiser. Not a bad unit in this comp. We already have a Mars Shred, so it's not that important, but he can help finish off some units that maybe Soraka has trouble killing. Gonna go for the Shroud here. Ideally it goes on Echo, just as a 3rd tank item, but it doesn't have to be. Another big thing here is that you... Oh, what's going on there? You really want your Ionic Spark to be in front of Soraka, right? Or just, you know, like on whatever unit she's hitting. So it'll be interesting to see how he ends up positioning this Annie. Right now he's middling her, but like in a situation like this, okay, and he's gonna put Admin in here. He thinks Admin plus Spellslinger better than the Mordekaiser, which I think makes a good amount of sense. All right, we're gonna have to bring it down ultra clear quality. I'm sorry. Wait, this looks... Oh, okay, I was gonna say this looks the same, and now it looks slightly worse, but all good. You still see all the important stuff. But yeah, like, I think getting the I mean, yeah, Mordekaiser really doesn't do that much. He just played it because he could, because he had it in shop. And I mean, look how stable his board is. Just was able to roll on 7 this game. It was a pretty uncontested Soraka angle. He naturaled 1 Soraka, got the other one from the augment. All he had to do was roll for 1 Soraka this game, and he was just completely chilling. So I think this is a really beautifully played game, and yeah, he's already easily top 4. And then he can play for first from this spot, right? Also, just all the little optimizations to save HP were really beautiful. Making the Annie 2, I thought was really, really nice. With like being able to pop up the sword with Gadgeteen. I also really liked the Gadgeteen augment opener. I haven't seen it played very much, but it makes sense. I think honestly I have to stop looking at augment stats because like every time I look at them, it's like, oh, this augment stat sucks, and then I see someone play it, I'm like, wait, this is kind of OP. Can you get the GS here? The GS is so good. I mean, it's the only Soraka item here. If you couldn't get that, you could go Gwynsu, but that's a lot of cast and not that much damage, but always decent with heart. Okay, and then he's gonna have to GS like Sona or Yumi or something, and that's okay. Goes 9 here, wow, just to get Zoe in. I mean, Hacker's okay. He's hackering Yumi right now. I don't know if he is intentionally doing that. The other thing it gets in is Prankster for Echo. It's also a 4th Gadgeteen, which obviously doesn't matter. But it's nice if you don't have +1 Gadgeteen, you get her in, and it's really nice. But like the big thing here is just Prankster for Echo. A lot more Fraulein. Is that a Soraka too? Yeah, it's wild how he ended up hitting Rocket this game, but he only had to hit 1, right? There's a Janna here as well. What's the weather? It looks like sunny to me. Wait, it's sunny, or maybe that's my Lux making my screen more orange than it should be. I guess we'll see when the round starts. It looks sunny to me, but I could be wrong. Okay, it is sunny. Okay, yeah, I thought it looked sunny. Yeah, I mean, that's a really nice unit to add. Gets in the 4th Spell Slinger, and is just a pretty decent synergy. How good is it actually into this board? I guess decent to protect against Zed. Ended up losing, actually, to Duelist Vayne. I mean, there's also a Zed. What's the board that he ended up losing to there? I'm actually curious what happened in this fight. Okay, so yeah, Z2 Vayne. Something I've noticed a lot of people recently just prioritizing is like +1 Duelist. You don't even put in Hacker here. Like I've seen so many people just play Hackerless Zed here, and then you just play a Duelist with like Sejuani too. Just because if you play Hacker here, then you're really low on frontline. I've seen so many people just run Hackerless Zed recently. In this case, he's the BT for healing, so not so bad. Yeah, I mean, these Zed items are so good. Really loves the Edge of Night, the BT in the case where you don't have Hacker, and then the Guardbreaker is pretty good, right? It's really good into Annie, really good into Echo. That's about it, right? Well, it's also obviously really good into the Sunny Shield. That's cool, yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting sort of like adaptation, because I feel like a decent amount of people used to play around the Hacker, but like, I guess in this meta, it's just not as necessary. Okay. Last item here, I guess it's just the last Echo item. I mean, Zephyr's pretty good as well. If he really needs it in a matchup, he could take Redemption, but it's not that big in the Zed matchup at all. Looking at this potentially for like a blue buff just to do some extra damage. Surely Zephyr's more influential though. Okay, ends up going blue buff. I mean, it's not bad on. Okay, and he ends up getting the Cinder in here. You can just play that now over the ends up playing it over the Lulu, right? Doesn't even try to his Gadgeteen anymore, right? He ends up taking the Zoe out, gets Cinder in. What's the other unit he got in? He added LeBlanc as well, or he already had LeBlanc? Look what his board ends up being. Yeah, so he just ends up cutting Lulu for okay, yeah, so he hits LeBlanc too, ends up cutting Lulu for Cinder, which is a really nice way to cap out this board. Just because you can start throwing stuff in from your bench, especially when you're 9. The problem is if you're like 8, this unit isn't that great because you have to spend all your... But okay, so now, like, with the idea of potentially playing Cinder, the blue buff makes a lot of sense, right? You can immediately throw a unit in. He did get Raka hooked, but she's so tanky with the Gunblade. Is she actually going to live? Oh my god, this Raka. Yeah, it's crazy how 2 people hit Raka 2 in this lobby and just are chilling on it. Alright, so that's the top 2. And then let's see if he can win out here. He is in a very, very capped board position, so you definitely see it. Yeah, he can always get this Nunu in. Ends up cutting... I don't really think admin. Like if you cut Yumi, what do you lose here? You lose Star Guardian, which is kind of influential, like very influential on this unit, but obviously you can't cut Alistar. You don't want to cut Echo. What do you actually cut here? Do you cut... I feel like you just throw it in. Like Gadgeteen... Well, what he can do here is he can put it in over a unit. So he saw the Giant Slayer, and then said, I don't need this. Oh my god, Janna too. But like, if it was a Shroud, he might have actually ended up playing it. So you can actually just like check the Gadgeteen item and then see if it's worth it. The Giant Slayer here doesn't really do much because like who's it gonna go on? Right. He's against the Zed player again. Can he win out this time? Or my god, look at that Zed. Edge of Night's annoying, but okay, that's 1 win, and then 1 more fight he has to win. And look at the spot that he's in. He can just keep throwing in whatever. He can keep rolling it down here. Like if he ends up hitting Urgot too, it's amazing. He's 48 HP. So he just has to win one of the next like 4 fights. I guess he could take some really bad losses. Oh, is that the patented Sub-Zero fake swap? Where you swap like half a unit and then swap back and get your whole team shrouded? Because no one would ever fall for this? It kind of looks like it is. Taking a page out of my book, baby. That's what we call the lazy fake swap. Alright, that's going to be a dub for Flancyyy. Beautiful AP game. I loved watching this game. Showed me a lot of stuff that I don't normally play around, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please interact with the video in some way, and also check out the link to my Twitch down below where I go live a decent amount of the time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, usually. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.